If you're a health entrepreneur, coach, or practitioner that wants to turn your expertise into a high 6 or 7-figure virtual business with less stress, so you can impact more people at a deeper level while making more money and enjoying a greater quality of life in the process, then the Healthpreneur podcast is for you. I'm your host, Yuri Elkaim. I'm a former pro athlete, leading health expert, New York Times bestselling author, and the founder of Healthpreneur, where I help experts just like you create and fill high-end virtual coaching programs that create dream come true results for your clients. Now, for a free and in-depth training on how to do just that without manual prospecting, one-on-one coaching, or having to spend years building your online following, head on over to healthpreneurgroup.com/training and jump on to our 7-figure health business blueprint training today. And now, let's get to today's episode. Hey, welcome to the show. Yuri here. Hope you're having a great day. Today we've got another great guest on the show. I always love bringing guests from all sorts of walks of life within the health space onto the show to really highlight different ideas and different ways of approaching life and business. And today's guest is a great example of that. Her name is Maya Fiennes, and we're going to be talking about how Maya really has held Kundalini yoga retreats throughout the world and become one of the most sought after Kundalini yoga teachers. She's heavily endorsed by people like Deepak Chopra, amongst many others, and it's a really cool conversation we're going to have today, talking about, just really leaning into intention, being a bit more free-spirited, not being so obsessed about, structure and numbers and stuff like that. And not that everyone has to abide by those rules, but I think it's a refreshing approach to living life and business, I think, in some way, shape, or form as well. So it's a pretty cool conversation we're going to have. So if you're somebody who is in the business of bringing people together, or if you want to do more retreats, or if you want to approach your business in a little bit less stressful of a manner, I think you'll get a lot out of this podcast. Again, if you want to learn more about Maya, you can do so over at mayafiennes.com. That's MayaFiennes.com. You can check out what Deepak Chopra and others have to say about her. But in the meantime, let's welcome Maya to the show, and let's get into it. Maya Fiennes, welcome to the Healthpreneur podcast. How's it going?
Hello. Very good. Excellent, in fact.
Yes, nice. So I'm excited to have you here because we connected several months ago, and we had a great conversation, and I think you were rushing off somewhere around the world to do another one of your retreats. Can you give our listeners a sense of the business model that you kind of operate? Because it's really interesting and it's really cool. So just give our listeners a sense of how your business operates and what you do around the world.
Right. Well, I travel the world teaching Kundalini yoga. I have retreats. I have made lots of DVDs. I've written a book, which is now translated in 8 languages. And I do travel a lot, but somehow... Let me rewind back. So in the past, for 10 years, I've been doing very analog, as you would say. I would travel. I would be there for every workshop, for every retreat and teacher training courses and all of that. And then just 2 years ago, I switched it into more digital because I thought, the DVDs and all that must be going to the end, right? It's coming to the end. So many people are only just doing digital, especially the younger generations and the millennials. And so I switched the whole thing into digital, which was quite a process. And it was quite shaky, to be honest, at the beginning. It's like, oh my God, I'm not actually appearing anywhere for 6 months or maybe 8 months. I wasn't going out there. I was just filming and creating the content. So I created a lot of content and everything we put on the website. But still, I think people are still used to me and they want my energy. So at the end, in this kind of business, why people really come to retreats is to get your energy. Because as a teacher, you transmit that energy and you change people's lives, but just by even talking to them. There is certain energy that you give to people, and that's what they want. So the digital was a little bit shaky to start with, but it's getting better and better. But that's it. So now I really want to get more, even though I understand that we have to do both. So you need to appear and in the times when you're not there, because you cannot be all the time, you have the support of the digital videos and DVDs and all this kind of material that you want to show, even online teacher training courses. So I actually created something for Kunda dance. It's my new project, my new passion. It's almost like a movement. Some people are comparing it to Zumba. They're saying it's going to be like the conscious Zumba. Yeah. But it does combine the yoga, the Tai Chi, the moves. We shout mantras, we dance, and it's really exhilarating. And it's the music I also written in very high frequencies and healing modalities. So people, at the end of the result, they feel really joyful. So that even, I made it into a shape of presenting it online. So people can actually take the course online. Everything is recorded. I have the video, how to do it, what to do, each position. I gave them the manual. It's really like 3-4 hours of material. Then they learn it, and then they film themselves doing it. So then they send it to me, and then I can approve if that's good or not, or what they need to pay attention to, and stuff like that. So that's in the pipeline, but we haven't released it yet.
Nice. That's pretty cool. Right. How do you, so let me ask you this. You're in Mexico, you're in Greece, you do this stuff all over the world. How do you fill these retreats, and how many people typically show up for these?
Right. So that's why I said that the digital world cannot help only. You have to appear, and you have to have both. So you have both clients. You have clients who just go for digital, and clients who just want to see you in person. So at the beginning, as I said, when I was transitioning, because I was not appearing much, it was digital, but the digital takes a long time to kind of create the social media and to create that awareness that people now see you digitally. And so it was shaky. So I would have not full retreats. As I said, the beginning was like, so I would have 20 people or maybe 15 people to retreats. I mean, still the numbers work out, because at the end, you break even or you earn a little bit more. But of course, the idea was to have 40, 50 people. And I used to have that. So that's what I'm saying. It's transferring into digital, which took me some time. Was a little bit shaky, but now we're getting there, especially with this awareness of this Kunda dance that I've been teaching, and lots of people have interest because it's an easy go. People can learn it in 1 hour. I mean, it's the teaching. The whole class. It's 1 hour of this Kunda dance. You learn how to do it, and then that's why people go for it, because it's almost like a mini short teacher training course. And usually people are already into fitness or yoga, so it's easier for them. But yeah, so filling up retreats, it's still a bit of a problem. I have to be honest, and it's so much on the go, and so much there, and you just get lost in this whole soup. Since the digital world becomes so much more active, that we used to be recognized, a few of us kind of yogis traveling the world, and everybody knew about us. But now we're kind of like lost in the sea of many teachers. And so that's what I've been noticing. Yeah.
Well, interesting. Well, it's pretty amazing, because, just to be able to, and so why do you go to Europe, and why do you go all around the world instead of having retreats in like Los Angeles, for instance? Are there specific reasons for those locations?
Yes, because my clients are much more European. I am from Europe. Lived in London for many years, so people knew me from many different angles, because I did change my profession very, very much. I reinvented myself many times. I was first known as a concert pianist, then I had a band, then I had a fashion company, and then I ended up as yogi. But then everything I've learned doing the other stuff, it all came together into one umbrella of yoga and wellness business. Yeah. So like everything I've learned, even from modeling, everything I learned from walking on a catwalk, so doing makeup and appearing on the camera, all of that was just used now when I'm filming and when I'm doing my videos and digital work.
That's awesome.
So everything pays off.
Yeah, totally. It's all part of the journey, right? It's just like one chapter after another.
So that's all. my book was released in London first, and then Germany is a very big client list I have there. And Europe, Norway, I constantly go back to Norway. They can't get enough. I have hundreds of people there on workshops, and I do usually like 2-day workshops there. And then it becomes like a tour, like a musician, Yeah. The pop stars, it's us, the yogis. We travel for 2 days here, 2 days there. That's and awesome. I make up a schedule and I make up a tour. If I'm in Europe, then I'm going to do Germany and Norway and London and a few other countries there. And then I end up in Greece because that's a wonderful, I'm from there. So I'm from Macedonia. So it feels very comfortable for me to be there in June. Yeah. Usually for the teacher training courses.
That's awesome. So how do the retreats look? Are they like a 1-day event or 2 days? How does that all look for the participant taking part in that?
Lots of different things. So sometimes I really like the retreats for 7 days because you can really see the transformation happening from day 1 to day 7. And I can absolutely see it in their faces. And that makes me really joyful. I love seeing the transformation and creating that. So you have enough time to transform, to have that journey. So still even 7 days, but 7 days is kind of enough to get that transformation. Now, workshops also, I have 2 days workshops because even 1 day, it's not enough. But when I travel like that, so 2 days, like full 2 days workshops. So then again, people get a lot out of it. So it depends. It depends what time I have and how is it scheduled. But if it's in a nice place, like let's say I'm doing a retreat after my teacher training in Greece, then I'm doing another retreat in another island in Greece for 7 days. So that will be journey through the chakras. So we go each day on each chakra. Cool. And you really kind of get that whole clearing.
That sounds like a great way to just experience the world. I mean, you get to travel great places, you get to have fun, teach others. That's I mean, that's a nice business.
It is, yeah.
That's great. So for everyone listening, I mean, you can create the dream of like the business of your dreams, right? Like you don't have to follow the mold and sit behind a computer. You can kind of do what you want to do. And with that said, Maya, what advice would you give to someone who might be thinking about doing, whether it's live workshops or live retreats? What are some of the, knowing what you know now, some of the mistakes or things that you would maybe have other people avoid, or some things to look into to really help them with their live events?
Right. Well, yes, I have learned from my mistakes. The idea here, when things really happen, it's when I don't think about it too much. I put it out there and I'm not even thinking of not filling it up. I'm only thinking I'm going. And that's it. That's my end result. And I go with a full passion, not thinking the numbers. As soon as you start caring about numbers, how many people are and how many people we need to break even and how many people, oh my God, when you start doing that, you kind of spoil the whole process. I think the best thing is just to work with passion, love what you do, put it out there and just expect it to happen. That's it. No, it's not in our vocabulary, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna happen. That's it. And you just have to go with it. And yes, sometimes maybe it won't. Sometimes maybe it won't fill up. But really, when I kind of start dissecting and going back, why those times did not happen, because my passion was not there, or maybe I was not really into it, or maybe I wasn't really into that place, or it will be all those kind of negative thinking emotions relate to it.
Sure.
But as soon as you're just flowing and you go into it and you love it, like, oh my God, I can't wait for Greece. I love Greece and I know Greece, and and I'm completely putting my whole energy. I'm already planning. I'm already in my head there. I'm already, packed to go for in June. You know what I mean? So you just completely put your energy. It's all about your energy, how you use your energy. And for me, that's how I've been doing business. I've never really, as I said, put business plans or this or that. Somehow I'm not a business person. I only went with passion and enthusiasm and willingness. And at the end result, I uplift and energize and bring joy to the world. And that's my way.
That's awesome. It's so true too, because it's like you have these polar opposites where it's, you on the one side you have kind of act as if, put the intention out there, disconnect from the outcome. And then you have the other side of the spectrum, which is, know your numbers, track everything, push, grind it out, like fill it up. Okay. And I don't know if there's a right way for I mean, everyone has their own, what works for them, but I really do agree with you that when you're in that state of, I don't know what the right word would be, but when you're in that flow and that state of energy when you feel as though it's already happened and you really embody that, that's when all the magic happens.
That's it.
And I think a lot of resistance happens for a lot of people because number one, they set an intention, but then they don't really believe that it's going to happen. So they have this self-doubt, and then they start doing things to control, like over-control the process, and they don't have faith that it's going to unfold like they want it to. So it's really cool that you brought that up.
Yeah, it's just trusting the process. Trust is even more than the faith. It's really, you just have to trust. That's it.
How does someone develop that? Like, is this something you've always had, or is this something that's unfolded for you over time?
No, I'm still struggling with it. And I even put a tattoo on my wrist saying trust.
Nice.
Yeah, I was in London a few months ago, and I just said, I want to see it all the time because I just have to remind myself to trust. And it kind of works. I think we need to have, I have developed that. You develop that through yoga, through all these practices, through food, through diets, as you know, we're all on a journey to get better and to be the best versions of ourselves. So any tools that works for you, for anybody there, because we all have different tools. But for me, yoga and the discipline of doing yoga and the mantra, using mantras all the time, and a breathing process that happens. So there are really few elements. The breathing is very important. The mantra, for me, it does work because I'm a musician, so I kind of associate with and I create mantras, I sing mantras. So for me, mantra is like always in my head. So every time I have to chill out or kind of like, okay, if I'm in that shaky state and doubtful state, I bring back the mantra, I trust, and I remind myself that it's okay. So it's just getting into flow. But the biggest way and the easiest way how I get into the flow is because I have the tools of playing piano. So I just sit on the piano and I'm completely immersed with the music. And I'm just playing. When you play a piece, let's say it's a few minutes or an hour, you are completely immersed in that. It's a really active meditation. So you just play the music. There's nothing else that exists. And I remember when I was doing concerts, I would be completely in 2 hours. I don't know how they went. I was in the bubble. It's like that. Mm-hmm. I could not hear anybody, anything. I was in a specific space and in time. I don't know how to call it, but it was the most amazing, if you like, meditation, because that's what was happening. You're completely one with, and you're in that flow, completely one with the music. So when you're one with that whole process, no matter what you're doing, that's when the magic happens. And for me, it's like relaxing and meditation and coming back to trusting.
Yeah, so that's awesome.
Different ways.
No, and I agree with that because for me, that active meditation, like I did my pilot's license several years ago, and when I was learning how to fly, at least when you're not doing long distances, like you have to be. You can't like think about other things. You can't be distracted. So for me, it was a great escape from what I was doing on a day-to-day basis because it just gave me an hour just to be like solely focused on flying the plane. It was like this kind of active meditation for me, and I just felt so blissed when I was up there. When I came down, it was terrific. What I've found to be extremely helpful for me as well is meditation, because meditation. And I'm sure a lot of people listening to this meditate if they don't, so I would strongly recommend it. It quiets the mind to such a level that you get to tap into that infinite intelligence. Like your nervous system is just brought down to such a relaxed state that you can get so much more done. And a couple of days ago, I was actually doing some work at Starbucks, and I was there for 2 hours, and I was like, wow, it seems like I've been here forever. Like time just stopped. Yeah. And I was so chill because I was listening to a very specific frequency of meditative music while I was working, and it was a really cool experience. So I've really tried to make meditation a more regular in terms of a daily practice for me, because I know that for me, my brain goes 1,000 miles a minute, and I'm always like, I can do this. And it's like, go. And if I don't slow down, it just feels like I'm always rushing, and that's not a good feeling to have.
what I found out is that for many people, just to say meditate, it's like, oh my God, it's almost like you said the curse word. So it's not easy for anybody to just quieten down. It's the most difficult thing. Why we do yoga, it's in order to make ourselves flexible enough to actually sit in that meditation position. So that's what it, but I started it like that with a discipline. But how to open the door to meditation is through mantra. That's why I highly recommend mantra, because it keeps you busy. You keep repeating the same word. You're stimulating 84 reflex points in the mouth. You're hitting the hypothalamus, pineal gland, pituitary gland. Everything works completely in one, getting every cell of the body in oneness and that neutral state of mind. And then it's so much easier after you finish the mantra. For no matter, you can do it for 5 minutes, for 7 minutes, for 11 minutes. We have a specific timing. And after that, you just sit immediately. You're in that flow. You get into the meditation so much easier. And that's what I recommend to people. If they're very busy mind, try with mantra first, because you still keep it busy, but just on exact words and the Sanskrit sacred words. So your body understands it. So that's, and I started it like that, but now I don't have to sit and meditate. Everything else becomes meditation. I walk and I'm in meditative state. I iron and I'm in meditative state. You know what I mean? It's just, I constantly either apply a mantra or I'm like in that flow. So to try to find that in everyday life, that's the ultimate. And that's why I called my book Yoga for Real Life. It's like how to take the yoga off the mat into real life. So let's see how that can work, because it's all easy to just keep sitting and doing a yoga mat and, you know, but if you translate that meditation into everything you're doing in life, I think that's the ultimate.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's really awesome. How do you come up with a mantra? Like, I know there's a lot of people that do transcendental meditation, and that's based on a mantra, having a mantra as well. Can you just say any word, or does it have to be a specific type of word?
I teach Kundalini yoga, and we have a very specific mantras, and there are only a few, and they're very simple, because it could be sa, ta, na, ma.
Okay.
But you keep pushing the fingers, each finger to the thumb, and that's sending electrical impulse in the brain, and it recharges the brain. And it's very great for balancing all the hormones. So it's charging up, and specifically pituitary and pineal gland. If there is a specific way of what you say and how you do it while saying it, that stimulates the glands, and that's the endocrine system start going, and that's what you need. But we have very simple mantras like Rama Dasa for healing, like you have Wahe Guru, ecstasy, bliss of creation. You're inviting that in your life. So depending what you need, then that I kind of do estimate. I have developed an estimate program. Like in 20 minutes, I'll ask people to do one specific move from each chakra and specific breath, and that will tell me everything about that person.
Nice.
It becomes like a psychic. They say, well, you're like a doctor. I said, well, I can see what's going on because I ask you certain things, and that tells me what's going on. And when I tell them, they go like, how do you know? They're all surprised. But so then I know what mantra to give them. And if they have a specific problem, there is a certain mantra for certain things, for specific problems. That's why I filmed a lot of all these mantras for. And people, if they have stress, what you do. If you have depression, what to do. It's, hitting the specific glands.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So just kind of segueing off of this, when you feel overwhelmed or unfocused or off track, are there, what questions do you ask yourself, or maybe mantras do you ask, or do you say to yourself to get back on track and back into that Zen-like flow?
Right. I have my specific mantra that I come back, which is always coming back to that wisdom, the Wahe Guru, the teacher from darkness to light who help us in. So I'm inviting my own guru, my own teacher within me, and we all have it. That's how the guru that we are calling, it's our own self. Just to see where is this coming from, where is this fear coming from, and I sit with it, and I actually invite fear in front of my face. It's like I'm imagining, I'm visualizing. I said, okay, come, face me. I want to face you. What's up? What's going on? Where is this coming from? Why? And I just kind of like talk to it. weird as it is, but just facing the fears. I mean, I spent like 3 weeks on my own before, during the Christmas and New Year in a little island in Bahamas, and just facing every emotion that comes up, not even meditating, not even using mantra, because even that was escape from facing all these emotions. See, sometimes you can use that very well as escape rather than dealing with it. So I know all the tricks. Now I've been through all sorts of processes and journeys that I realize at the end is just facing it. Yeah. And no, not many people want to do that. Nobody wants to do that. And rightfully so, because it's not easy.
Oh, totally. Well, speaking of like facing your fears and stuff, what is your favorite failure from a business perspective, let's say, that has later set you up for success?
Yeah, I guess I do feel discouraged when like my retreat doesn't get filled. And that happened a couple of times, as I said, when I was transitioning. So I was like, wondering and questioning, what am I doing right and what am I doing wrong, and why this is happening. Obviously, my energy was not there, or I was not sure myself, and there was a doubt. I think that's what was happening, because I was in that transition. And I was like, oh my God, how is this transition going to go? Because all I knew is be there with the people right there and be with them. That's the analog way I was talking about. And for 10 years, I did super well like that. And then 2 years, I was kind of transitioning and it was shaky. So like people wouldn't know that I'm still in the radar. You know, they have forgotten me because that's how it is when you transition. I needed the time on my own. I needed the time to create the content, and people forget you. There are other people and they're gone. And then how do you whiz them back? How do you bring them back? It's like it requires lots of energy and work. So I think that would be discouragement moment. Yeah. And then I really started to even work harder to really understand the digital world, because you know what? I was resisting it. I was resisting it for many years. I keep saying, I'm not the generation for that. But you're not. You can't. The world is running in that way that you have to accept it. I wouldn't even have Facebook. I wouldn't have Instagram. All of that you see now, my social media, it's only built in the last 2 years. Nice. I didn't have anything. I don't know how I did those retreats, just from people knowing me and seeing me from one workshop to another. I don't know.
Newspaper ads.
Newspaper, yeah, whatever.
The yellow pages. Yeah. Well, it's cool though. I mean, I think a lot of people can relate to that, where it's, whether it's the current internet and all the social stuff, or the things that are going to be coming down the pipeline, whether it's like 3D printing or AI, there's always going to be resistance, right? There's always going to be like, oh, I don't want this to be the way it is.
Resistant those. I think I had more than others. And I would see people already on it and say, I still don't have my own personal Facebook. I refuse. I don't want to get completely into that world. I mean, I think people are losing connection and communication. It's a problem because It's all texting and all digital. I just don't know. I'm still resisting it, I guess, but I'm getting better with it.
Well, they've said that Facebook, and I don't know if this is true, but they said that Facebook was, purposely designed to be addictive, and it hits our dopamine receptors and stuff in very specific ways.
Yeah,
and
I'm kind of worried for kids. I have young adults, 19 and 21 years old daughters, and they're constantly on it. It's just like,
Yeah, it's a tricky world to navigate. I mean, I personally made the decision to not have Facebook or Instagram on my phone. So I don't have that on my phone. I don't have email on my phone, because I know for me, if it's on my phone, it's like having chocolate sitting on the counter in the kitchen. Like I'm gonna crush that every day of the week, right? So I know for myself, like I don't have enough discipline to not to jump in there and go down that rabbit hole. So I know at least for me, and I think for a lot of other people, just really being able to use the technology instead of having it use you, I think is an important thing. But I think it goes back to like yoga and meditation, is when you feel more centered and more relaxed, there's less of a tendency to jump into that. And that's just something I've noticed for myself.
Right. Yeah, it's all discipline, just building it in your body so your cells of the body understand and they know. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's just bringing that discipline through. But you have to stay for, Some people take shorter, some people longer, but just building that nerve of discipline.
Yeah, totally. Maya, this has been a lot of fun. Are you ready for the rapid five?
Yeah.
So 5 rapid fire questions. Whatever comes top of mind is probably the right answer. So here we go. Number 1, what is your biggest weakness?
Can I be very blunt? Sweets.
Sure. Yeah.
I like sugar. Oh my God. I grew up in a country that is full of sugar. That's how I grew up. Can you imagine? In Macedonia, it was all about sugar.
Really?
It's considered a third world country. So, we were just given all the scruffy stuff, the worst of the world, and it will end up with us. So,
sure.
So greasy things and baked things and sugar. Oh, I grew up with pastry. But then I had the discipline to turn it all around.
That's good for you.
But yeah, sugar.
Cool. All right, number 2, what is your biggest strength?
Uplifting people, energizing and inspiring and willingness. I say yes to everything constantly. Awesome. It's my I don't know, my spirit, my personality.
That's great. Good for you. Number 3, what's one skill you've become dangerously good at in order to grow your business?
One skill. Well, I'm very good at creating content. I'm very good on camera, so I know my moves.
Nice. I know my moves. That's a good one.
My moves.
Awesome. Cool. So, okay. So number 4, what do you do first thing in the morning?
Oh, I listen to your advice. I mean, I usually used to either do 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar with hot water, with warm water, and a little bit of lemon. But now I added the green stuff that you talked about. I have fantastic spirulina, and it was a bit yucky, but I did it, and it's good. Just plumbing it all in. It's just like, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So,
it's all about the greens. It's all about the greens.
The greens.
Yes, awesome. And finally, complete this sentence. I know I'm being successful when
I let go and let God.
Yes. Good one. That's a good one. There we have it, guys and gals. Maya Fiennes, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. Before we finish off, what is the best place for people to follow your work online and maybe even attend one of your retreats?
Right. It's just my name. It's my website, mayafiennes.com.
Great. And we'll link up to that just for the spelling, guys. That's Maya, M-A-Y-A, and then Fiennes is F-I-E-N-N-E-S. That's correct?
That's correct.
.com. And we'll link up to that in the show notes for all of you guys. Check it out. She's up to some great stuff. Very uplifting, very inspiring. Just a ball of energy. And Maya, once again, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right. So hope you enjoyed that one. As always, I enjoyed having that great conversation with Maya. She's really a bundle of energy, bundle of joy, and just really a great heart and doing some great things in our world. So if you've enjoyed this episode, remember to subscribe to the podcast over on iTunes. Just hit the little purple button that's